This frees up a ban for them, which I think is quite nice. That's cool from GENG, and the second time they've done this.
And I mean, it is a little bit of a weakness showing, I think, in both teams, right? You know, because you're not willing to actually first pick the Graves, whereas Damwon is fully willing to do so. And on the other side, you know, there's kind of that Yuumi weakness that has been exploited a little bit, where they aren't able to do the same counters, they aren't able to bring out the Singe and stuff, but GENG doesn't have to ban it. So it's a really interesting back and forth here. And I am very curious to see, you know, if they are going to leave the Aphelios up and actually try to give that over and have a different answer, or if they're going to ban it away.
Well, the Caitlyn ban on blue side here as well is another one that's a bit curious, but it's not really a ruler champion either. So banning both the Graves and the Caitlyn on blue side is a luxury that you only really get on blue side, as there's the Kayn ban.
Again, man.
Wow.
I mean, respect to Canyon. GENG realizes that Canyon was having a monster game. His teammates did not have a very good game, and that really was the difference.
Come on,
it was not the pick that was actually falling apart. It's got to be the Yuumi. There's no shot you give over the Yuumi and lose all 3 games with it.
Yeah. There we go. There we go. The cat has been banned once again.
Get it out of here.
Let me remind you, gentlemen, in 100% of games, the Yuumi was banned, Damwon as well.
Okay,
so game 5 could come in, but there's the Sejuani first pick.
So now, do they actually grab the Aphelios? Are they willing to play Aphelios into just anything, right?
Yes.
It is extreme comfort, and I feel like they should grab the Aphelios here. You don't necessarily need to grab the Lulu right immediately as a pairing, because I don't think GENG would then steal it away. It doesn't feel as high prio outside of this pairing specifically. But they're thinking about it down to the last second here.
Yeah,
I think so.
100%. Not surprising. I do agree with you. Now the question becomes, what is the read from them on Kia? Do they read into this that this is going to be what has been most of the case, which is a Sejuani for Peanut? And do you then maybe take away something like the Akali to prevent these extremely strong topside melee compositions with Sejuani to roll you over?
You can. It's also interesting because, you know, for a lot of teams, I'd be saying, okay, you grab Trundle, right? But because it's Canyon, it's just not really stylistically his thing.
Okay.
And I think getting him on the Viego really does make sense. Viego, it feels like it has been getting banned out more in the second phase of bans, so they're going to prioritize it a lot. This does very likely mean Lulu on 3, so like the first phase is already kind of done.
Whoa.
Damwon. Oh, you could go Jinx Soraka potentially, or even Jinx Lulu and take away the Lulu.
I mean, it's the classic Jinx into Aphelios, and this is GENG, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the combo that has been part of this team for so incredibly long. And Showmaker, he wants to run it back.
Look at the smile on his face here.
He's just having a bit of a giggle.
Okay.
He wanted to activate the crowd. And thank you, New York. You were fantastic. But he is going to lock down the bottom lane, it looks.
Okay, I have to say, Renata into Jinx is terrifying. Very likely this will force the cleanse. I've played a fair bit of Renata myself, and Jinx is one of the scariest champions to actually take over, because Jinx is purely auto-attack damage, right? It is not abilities.
Yeah.
You will erase your own team if you actually get hit by the hostile takeover, so it does force the cleanse, and it makes positioning very difficult at times, because you can create these windows where you're going to be able to free fire his Doctom on this Aphelios because all the carries from the other team have got to run away from the hostile takeover.
Additionally, it's also disincentivizing to GENG to then stack melee champions with the Sejuani, so the Sejuani loses a little bit of impact there. And at this point, I'm wondering, do they just throw towards Doran on top and then pick something else for Peanut, which seems likely. But Kellen is also, in my opinion, the best Renata that we have within the LCK. He has been so big in so many games, and specifically the combination of Aphelios and Renata has been an incredible pressure point for Damwon domestically, because they just stomp any given lane with that 2v2.
And to me, Renata is one of those enchanters that still has a lot of the early game power, right? You can still play through the lane. You know, Yuumi, you're thinking more about the scaling oftentimes, but Renata really does have that early game 2v2 power. They're going to ban away the Thresh, you know, more concerned about the Lantern for the repositioning and potentially the all-in here. And it's not going to be any more additional enchanter bans. Instead, it is that focus towards what would be Doran's Camille. So they're still worried about that pairing on the top side, which is very, very frightening, especially if it's going to be Nori playing more of a weak side role here. They are not wanting to give that up.
Yeah, and despite the fact that, of course, picking melee into Renata is dangerous, I think that Tahm Kench was also a worthwhile ban for them to go with, because giving Ruler late game safety is very, very scary. And we know that you can play that champion very aggressively. Lehens has done so in the past. Ornn going to be banned as Nuguri, not going to be allowed to play that.
It's just so interesting to me, though, because you can also just absolutely go towards an Enchanter pairing. You don't have to even play a melee pairing here with Ruler's Jinx, right? Like, you can totally go Lulu, and you already have Engage and a frontline from the Sejuani. You can bring in another melee champion towards the top lane. You can go towards something like that. You could even go towards something, like I say, and if you want to go for a laning Enchanter, Soraka can be really powerful here as well. And it is going to be the blind Croc. Gnar makes sense as an answer, but yeah, I'm still so curious about support.
So the Gnar is going to be considered into the Renekton that might be going top lane. I say might because Showmaker has done this before in clutch games.
Yeah, would not be surprising if we now end up seeing a counter pick here from Nuguri. Key thing though is, of course, that in terms of actual having AP damage, that would make it, it very hard. What I do like though, I know Renekton is not the most popular pick, but I think that Damwon have shown that a strong 3v3 topside, especially when bolstered by Nephelios lane, is a recipe for success. So I think going back to that in theory works out well. The problem is, as the Lulu comes in, don't think playing Renekton into Lulu or Gnar is particularly fun. And additionally, don't think the setup for Damwon is quite as nice as it was in the previous game.
No, definitely not. I mean, they don't really have any hard engage right now, right? Right now, you're looking at potential flanks over on the Damwon side. Showmaker LeBlanc is an iconic pick here, but again, this makes this comp, I feel like, so much more mid-game. Yes, there is scaling for Duckdom on the Aphelios, but you're looking over against Lulu Jinx Azir with a stronger front line. This one feels like the pressure is on Damwon early, big time. I think they have to play from ahead. If you are playing, from a neutral state in the later stages of the game, it feels very difficult.
I mean, that's exactly what Azir and Jinx do, though, right? Like, it forces you into trying to answer in the early mid, and I actually think that this is a fantastic idea from Damwon. All in on that. If they're going to win, that is when they're going to win it. And so Damwon Kia going to have to very quickly bring us to Game 5.
Also ties us in the larger theme of this series, which is GENG. When they actually get to 5v5, Game 3 notwithstanding, they are the better team. They have shown that when it comes to pure teamfight execution and front to back, they can kite back, they can protect Ruler, they can play around the peak performance from Chovy and Ruler. And Damwon Kia make the read, we gotta win early or we're not gonna win at all. That's how they won Game 3. But I do agree with you, Azale. I think that the clock is on them way more than was in the previous game. And I think it might lead to Damwon, again, going for these overforces.
They're gonna have to force, it is a lot of pressure on them. And one of the key differences here is they don't have as good ways to force, right? You have to be flanking from multiple angles. That is kind of your way to engage. Or you win the early game, you deny vision, you shut them out, and you use Showmaker to really be that poke and prod who can be your kind of fulcrum there, because they are missing Nuguri's Sejuani from last game that was finding so many picks for them and really helping to push forward once they were ahead. So I will say the bright side is that there's tons of pressure on Cannon and Showmaker, who are your go-to guys, right? I think if they can get through mid lane, get ahead, get Showmaker unleashed on the map, hey, maybe he can have another incredible game.
Well, we'll see whether he does as we hop onto the Rift here for Game 4, ladies and gentlemen. GENG still with match point in their hands. Damwon Kia could bring us to that best-of-1 decider as Showmaker... Oh, GENG. Are they predicting that Showmaker's going to go for it? And he is. He's just going to do it a little bit later than he otherwise would. Backs his way up.
And it's a nice read, right? They even had the soldier over in the pit, because that is so common. You actually distort over, you drop the ward there. So he's reading that play, dissuading him from being able to do it. Just nicely done. Small thing from GENG.
Also, again, Peanut going for the control ward start that we've seen come up more and more, especially on these little bit slower junglers. And that Malrang in particular used very efficiently throughout the entirety of group stage.
And I just think it's really smart. Like, it is a small thing, but denying Canyon that info when there is already pressure on him to get something done early becomes that much more difficult, right? Because you don't know exactly where the Sejuani is going to be clearing towards. You are missing that information. We'll see if Showmaker will go in late at all and try to get that ward down. He may look for it. And I do think this is worthwhile. So he does drop a ward at Raptor, so they're likely going to spot the Sejuani clearing up. And that will at least give Canyon the info, though a little bit delayed.
Yeah. And back to laning goes Showmaker. And yeah, here it is, all the information given. So Sejuani will be on the map. Kia just starting to push off once again here towards the bottom side, but I believe this time the experience advantage not going to be as high here for the Aphelios.
It is worth noting, though, that Damwon didn't leash, right? So they started the 2v2 because they wanted to get pushier. So they want to play for the faster level 2. So that signals to me that they are going to try to play this a little bit aggressively, see if they can get this quick level 2, push Ruler and Lehen's back, and utilize that to try to create some sort of an advantage.
Yep, already starting to push up this lane as we can see. Nuguri and Doran still just fighting it out. Of course, the Gnar having sometimes pretty okay time into the Renekton. I'd say that now, still the case. There's some battling just all over the Rift right here. Although bottom lane still pretty healthy. Mid lane, a lot of tussle, 300 health on each side.
And what we see as well is that Canyon actually has not been spotted on that ward. Went from blue to Grom and now towards his red buff. Does have a window. Don't think top lane looks particularly diveable, but maybe he wants to look towards a mid gank, but will get spotted on the ward there, so not really going to amount to too much. And sees that ward come down, knows that he won't be able to find a lot as Doran.
Yeah, crushing his way forward, not wanting to overextend onto Nuguri here. Doesn't have enough information to go for it. As we can see, Canyon going to move in, looking to steal this one away. Not going to be able to do so, but does get the information there that Peanut is in the area.
And the very small thing, but he does force out the smite, so it should be his scuttle if he wants to actually play for this.
Oh!
Peanut, the wraparound.
Yeah, now Nuguri's going to be able to move on over. There's the flash in, gets the big stun, and also able to get the Colby. Unbelievable! That's double for Canyon and Dumbo and Kia. They really want those 5 games.
And Canyon needs the early lead. Canyon says, I will find the early lead, as both junglers kind of aware. Maybe the other one is there, maybe they're not. But the moment that Peanut makes his way over Canyon, crucially, look at that ward. He thinks he's safe.
Yeah, and it's actually such
I think
force
Canyon
here.
read it.
Canyon,
yeah.
He had the read, right? I mean, Canyon was skipping so many camps. He was down 2 full camps to actually hang around here for this long. He spotted him doing the gromp. He waits around. He has the read that they're going top because Renekton is so low. It's such a juicy target. And Canyon takes the risk, and look at the stress. You can see, it looked like he was almost like slamming his keyboard there. You know, a little bit of frustration, a little bit of jitters there in the movement from Peanut. And that is a massive play in a game where you had to be ahead.
Yeah, absolutely right. Peanut does do this. He moves his leg up and down if it's in one of those pivotal moments.
Oh.
I do exactly the same thing. Papa Smithy used to be very upset about it. As Lehen's going down to 50% health. Thankfully, we're standing, so not going to have to worry about it for us. But still.
Well, I mean, I'm never bothered by that. I think
Oh,
you're great.
thanks, man.
Yeah,
the
you're welcome.
entire desk moving doesn't bother you?
Well, I mean, it took some getting used to, because that does
The
actually
windows
happen.
are breaking, things are falling off
Yeah,
the
yeah,
shelves.
exactly. It's like,
okay,
this is-
relax.
Yeah,
this
it's
is
more like the entire platform at Low just goes like left, right, left, right, left, right.
It's like a ride.
Yeah,
It's great.
Yeah, just, you know, you gotta,
nice
gotta
handshake.
go with it. That's a woo, Lance.
And again, it's a nice push here, you know, from Dom. You know, they didn't leash. They have the plan here, so Canyon is put behind on the clear speed, but is able to get towards top side. He gets the double kill. Bot lane, they've already pushed in and got that early shove. They get a play out here, and Kellen is able to actually delay the base there of Lehen, so they will get a preferential reset here if they would like to take it.
And the key thing to me is, again, Drake stacking. Dom and Kia are definitely going to have to put a lot of pressure towards that part of the map. And with the permanent prior that they've been able to generate for themselves so far, expect Doctom and Kellen to go back and then be ready, especially when Showmaker always also finds his way back towards the map. That's a painful
That's a
trade.
pickaxe longsword stuff for Nuguri.
Yeah, pickaxe plus PTA early game, that's gonna hurt. So, you know, really investing in the early game, even with the rune choices here. Damwon clearly recognize, you know, what this game is going to have to be for them to win, right? And they have got to continue pushing the pace. I will say one bit of bad news, though, is Chovy's advantage here in mid lane. He is up at least a full wave, you know, or so after this wave that's crashing gets collected. So Showmaker will be put down a little bit, but we'll see if Canyon can transition his lead around. Because as you said, they need to start taking the dragons. They need to have these points of power that are going to draw GENG into fights earlier than they would like to be.
And to me, that's what Domon has been trying to do. Nuguri gets the crash here, just going to back. Peanut is in the general vicinity, knowing nothing's going to happen. Hey, Renekton with PDA and Dominus, though, at this point, you're not going to kill him. You probably end up getting 1v2'd, so as a result, Dom and Kia have free reign on the map, are able to get a Drake, set up extremely deep vision in the entirety of the jungle of GENG.
Yep. Showmaker able to move himself forward there. As you can see, pops back to his distortion, so he'll be fine. Like you say, Drake stacking, starting here for Damwon Kia. Not going to be enough, though, I don't think. They're going to need to keep up the pace, try to find skirmishes.
Yeah, absolutely. They will need to do that. But, you know, 6:30 in, grabbing your first dragon, that feels like one of the earliest ones we've had in the group stage and quarters. People have been taking so many more delayed dragons. We really haven't seen that many Souls or Elder type games. But Damwon is going to try to push it towards that, right? They're going to try to get, 6:30 first dragon, to come right back, get their second dragon here, around 12 or so, and then look for that about 20-minute soul point where maybe the Jinx and the Azir aren't really looking to fight, but Genji's going to be getting nervous at that point.
Well, Dom with some low-range guns, Ruler able to just use the Jinx as effectively as we have seen in the past, right? Like, it's outranging the Aphelios that you are doing here by picking the Jinx up, even though things are a little bit different as it used to be.
And what's interesting is that Dogtown in the past himself has also been a fan of this, is that we often saw Aphelios gravitate towards the PTA, so that you basically become an assassin with Guild Force, because your all-in window is a lot stronger than what the Jinx can provide. As Dogtown and Kalin, Dogtown now going to hit 6, Peanut maybe looking for something. As on the other side of the map, Damwon Kia, as they should, going to get up, pick up rather an early Herald.
Yep.
This is perfect, just continue pushing that forward. Peanut is spotted out here. That's a brand new ward, so he had to have known, I think, that was actually dropped down there. I think it was on that timing, but still hanging around, looking to perhaps threaten if Damwon were to get a little bit aggressive. But with Herald taken on top side, and this wave potentially crashing, it could be Doran that's in a little bit of pressure here at this point.
Yeah, and Canyon hasn't actually used the Herald just yet. They're just threatening. Because, of course, Doran knows that he's well and truly on the weak side right here. And with that information about Peanut, they can continue to do this without even needing to drop down Shelly.
Well, I actually really like that, because I do think the Herald should go mid when you're up against this Azir. You want to take away this bastion of safety here from Chovy. You don't want Showmaker locked in this lane just farming. This is the last thing you want from your LeBlanc. You want LeBlanc to be moving, to be playing in fog, to be constantly having your opponents really have to come play this scare tactics game where every brush you check, you're scared of LeBlanc.
Especially in the 2v2 where Canyon is already fed, every single skirmish that you take as Gen G has to be win it immediately or you're in deep trouble. As okay.
That is a lot of respect, and he deserves it here as Noguri looking for the solo onto Doran. Gets him underneath his turret, flash for flash. I like the attitude there from Noguri, but I don't know whether he necessarily needed to go in.
Yeah, I mean, I think just overestimating his damage just slightly. When you get that early flash, you could have just taken that win and perhaps called Canyon up to really threaten that dive, but instead he does try to go for it. He goes forward, he gets him low, but then no more abilities available. He knows he won't be able to finish him off under the tower.
Yeah, we also saw Peanut and Canyon spotting one another, so maybe also wanting to respect, because if you do get ganked in that position and the Gnar gets a kill and gets further accelerated, becomes a lot harder to play out. And having a flash in the subsequent Drake fight would be very nice. Now, fortunately for Noguri, I do think that the overall game state is still pretty subpar for Gen G. They have actually fallen considerably far behind, and the second Drake in a minute and a half should be going to Damwon.
That's going to be really big, and this is also kind of just indicating what type of a game Noguri wants to play to me, as we've seen Lehen's face shack.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is not the handshake that he actually wanted. The hostile takeover comes in. It takes a little bit of time, but they do manage to lock down the Lulu. 3 kills now for Damwon Kia.
And now you can even go down towards bot and try to threaten more pressure here. He's actually getting Spell Thieves gold, which I really like there. Picking up 60 gold, I believe, with the Spell Thieves, because you do get that passive while it's active.
Yeah, Rift Herald still half the cooldown now for Canyon as he dashes forward onto Peanut. Zero mana. Exactly right. Ruler wants to come on over. He wants to try and defend, but there is just no way. Canyon is massive. Goes untargetable as well. He's going to be able to just boogie his way out on the Sejuani.
This is wonderful for Damwon. They are really pushing the pace.
And overall, Gen G don't have a response. It's one pick on Lehen's, leads to a lot of the safety from Polymorph being gone. Noguri going to get a little bit of damage, but as you pointed out, with that Blade of the Rune King, a long trade's always going to be favorable, as Lehen's, definitely can't die twice, but in of itself, already, like the amount of early game pressure that Damwon is generating is very hard to deal with. And Gen G, their one saving grace is obviously how well they skill, but look how far behind Peanut is.
Yeah, and the threat of this Rift Herald was used 3 times before it was actually thrown down. I think that Canyon, I mean, that presence of mind to know that you can just stand near it and make sure that GENG feel the pressure. Absolutely beautiful here.
I'm feeling a little bit worse about my decision not to prioritize Canyon in that draft we did as well, because I was like, no.
Just getting better and better.
Canyon has
I
been
got 369 Canyon ruler.
it's been a little rough.
Oh dear, that is not what he wanted. Chains are going to connect, but Showmaker is still going to go back.
The flash.
And another Hex Drake will come through.
But as you were talking about, Max, you know, we're seeing Canyon feel so confident to actually go into these fights because he has that early mythic completion, right? He knows that he's such a point of power. When you're comparing the items, just look at the top half of the map, right? Like, that is the big concern. There's just no fight that you want as the Gnar or the Sejuani, and that is why Canyon is just pushing the pace. This is what we saw him do as well in the Kane game. I think he does it better than anyone in the world. When he is playing from an advantage, this guy just feels so oppressive. Like, he is living in your jungle. What are you even supposed to do about this?
Yeah, and we saw the Sejuani look broken, right? When it was paired with the Camille, the Yone. When it's paired with only Mega Gnar, you're not going to be feeling fantastic about getting all of those passives, getting all of those stuns happening in these fights.
And it's something we talked about a lot at the top of the series, and we now have to go back to us. Yeah, that's disgusting. Also, notice who's third, casually, even though he hasn't really done that much in his game, is Dogdom, because he has actually been able to get a lot of plates. Now dropping to fourth with Showmaker. What I want to highlight is that the Sejuani pick here in this draft doesn't actually work, but they had to pick it away. Because we saw in the previous game what happened when it was given over to Domokia. Oh my god.
I don't know what's happened. Showmaker is just turned on at this point. Like, it is just amazing how he's been playing. And even though that was only a little thing, pretty inconsequential, just seeing how well he plays again. Yeah, that is it for Dogdom on the Aphelios. Domokia, are they doing it, John? Are we ready to believe in 5 games or no?
You calm down, Atlas.
Not just yet. I mean, there is incredible scaling on GENG, but they have put themselves in a position where, you know, the game is in their hands, right? You know, they are the ones that are driving here and going to be able to have all of the options that they need to try to close this one out. We'll see if Canyon has a bit of an overstep here, as there are a lot of GENG people in the area, and he will respect that fact.
Yep, Lehens just lying in wait. There is the dash forward. The stun's going to come down. He's very fed, remember. Has Heartbreaker, has the flash. Here's the Hex Gates as Showmaker comes on over. Peanut is not going to be able to find the blue buff, but is going to be able to keep his life.
Successful heist. No biggie. Go in, pick up a blue buff, get out. Easy peasy.
And he just had to wait that little bit of time, you know, for Showmaker to actually take the Hex Gate in. And Nogari is going such an aggressive build as well. He even has CDR boots. I can't remember the last time I saw CDR boots on a Renekton here.
Is he gonna go Prowlers?
Oh, 100% hope so.
He would.
As the Glacial Prison's going to go wide. You can see that GENG are feeling the pressure here. Of course, they have a comp with a lot of longevity. But I just don't know how relevant that's going to be if this keeps up. It's a 5,000 gold lead. Something 2,095% win rate, right?
I mean, honestly, if there were a game for Prowler Scar Renekton, I feel like this would kind of be it.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
is very low value. There's essentially 4 range champions. Yes, there is Mega Gnar. Yeah, okay. But you're not going to really get a lot of good value off that. So, you know, if you feel like you can execute, if he can come in on the flank, sure, you can cleanse the W, but it doesn't help you if you get one shot.
I mean, the W is going to take 2/3 of Ruler's health bar if he does build that item. Like, my God, that's too much.
And the one caveat that I do want to put here is that the last time, Domokia got a 10k gold lead and had a Renekton in the game.
Oh, stop. Stop it. You as Lehens going to get burst, but Showmaker is going to be bullied out there. Peanut turns up. Now they're going to get the speed boost. Sejuani coming over. Emperor's Divide does nothing onto Canyon as he Heartbreakers it. And now Showmaker looking for the hands off to the side. The Polymorph is good. Canyon's going to get knocked up with the Arctic Assault. Showmaker's taking the Sejuani for a walk, and they do get the shutdown, and it goes to Doran.
Yeah, it goes to Doran. I mean, he TP'd in, so I think he really wanted to be involved there, but really, you would want that onto Chovy, that big shutdown. But Kellen has arrived, and so has Dogdom. And it was a lot of resources spent by GENG, so they're going to try to push out through top. Nogari is not being answered. Remember, Doran TP'd away from that top lane, and Dogdom and Kellen could go mid and shove that up too.
Nogari is already sitting on 2k gold. Yeah, 2k. If he gets this turret, it's going to be even more. Not going to be able to do so, force a response, but this should lead to the soul point being picked up here for...
Okay, so Lehens gets rid of a ward.
Feels safe.
This is the initial play, right? Showmaker going in, getting aggressive onto Lehens. He does have to snap back, but look at how much of a commitment there is from Gen.G. Chovy is here, they're even TPing in Doran. It's the whole squad. They say, we gotta get this shutdown on Canyon.
And overall, it ends up paying off. Even with Canyon finding the buffer, doesn't end up mattering. Callan and Dogdom are on their way, but not quite going to be in time, more so due to Canyon being very far forward. But now, maybe this is the moment where Gen.G at least deny this soul point, because if they don't...
Prowler's Claw Renekton, we're getting it.
Let's go! That's what we wanted. This is how the Crocodile is supposed to be played. This is the part of the Crocodile. Yeah, this is the Apex Predator. This is when he's dashing out of the water to try and take you down, not when he's lying on the beach.
They're gonna contest. Here comes Chovy. He's TPing in, but
Peanut gets the fadeaway, even through the Gale Force, but Dogdom still gonna flash his way out. Hostile takeover, does land onto a couple of members, but now it has been waited out. The Mega Gnar is there. Doran uses it, but only onto Nogari, as now Kellen's the one off to the side of the handshake that he uses is fantastic. Now, the soul point has been secured, but can Gen.G make it out? The Mimic Chains come in. Peanut gonna get wild growth, but it's not gonna be enough. Nogari, the Prowler, picks up the kill on the Sejuani, and they're not done yet. Canyon, oh, the reset timing, just beautiful. And Chovy takes the polymorph with him, but he is gonna be able to get out.
Outside of every series Gen.G and Damwon has played, it has gone to the maximum amount of games the entire year. No matter how good Gen.G was, no matter how rough Damwon looks, they were always able to do it. And this time around, soul point, devastating gold lead at 18 minutes. And for Gen.G, I think you're looking at game number 5.
I mean, everything is in Damwon's favor now. Gen.G definitely will have another team fight to try to look towards, but the lead is getting bigger and bigger and bigger here. You can see Dogdom, beautiful Gale Force buffered out there. Yes, the Sejuani ult connects, and they do get a splash, so they get the summoners off, but as the Renekton arrives here, it gets very difficult, because the early 2 items make it so tough, and that Dragon reset kind of took away their hope.
And you also see the impact that Callan has again on this Renata, right? Like, he buys so much time, and then obviously on the chase down, if Gen.G can't find resets for the Jinx, can't find the early kill with the gold deficit that they have, they're gonna run into deep trouble.
And Kellen with the speed ups here, pops the Shirelias, gets Canyon in. The reset timing there was beautiful from Canyon. It's something we've come to expect. This guy just doesn't often make mistakes on these carry champions. It's Blade of the Rune King done for him as well. 2 items done on both the jungle and top laner for Damwon. They are enormous. Dogdom as well going for a 3-item spike build here. Has the LDR, so it's likely an IE third. And he is going to put out so much damage with this kind of build.
Yeah, and you'd already highlighted the gap between the top lane. I mean, it's still an entire completed item ahead for Damwon Kia. We have to, I don't know whether I necessarily need to keep talking about it, but scaling. You know, Gen.G definitely do have a lot that they can do in the later stages, but I have a feeling now
Atlas,
that Damwon have got over
Atlas,
the top
I don't want to make the crocodile joke, you know, the
scales.
We're not doing it. But I do want to highlight that Damwon Kia are playing this game out very cleanly, as I say that Nogari.
Yeah, they do manage to get the turret, but can they get the crocodile out alive? He's fighting. Oh my goodness, Peanut not tanky this time around, but Doran is going to just gnar him straight back, and that is the shutdown gold going to Chovy.
Yeah, that's a great shutdown there, and this is the downside when you're playing this sort of build as Renekton. You are a glass cannon, so there are going to be opportunities here for Gen.G if they can execute flawlessly.
Yeah, I've seen these ones before, but the chompers are good. It's still not probably going to save Peanut. Yep, the handshake's so good. And now the hostile takeover comes in. Lehen's going to be fighting against Doran here, but Canyon is massive. It's a double kill for Showmaker. And yes, you managed to kill Nogari, but he's got teleport. Damwon Kia can get more.
And again, I want to highlight the amount of mechanical press being shown by Damwon over Royer. Showmaker forcing a response by going in hard, chunking down Ruler. Kellen cancelling out Peanut his dash with his handshake. And surely that's going to be the Baron here.
Yep, Showmaker, you can see he's just guarding this. Super Mega Death Rocket just lands onto Dogdom. He says, cool. And they will be able to secure it here. The Purple Worm collected already. 1,500 gold, Damwon Kia. This is massive. I think we're looking at a game 5, gentlemen. I don't want to say it too early, but it's definitely feeling that way now.
It absolutely is, and it is Damwon on a little bit of an over push here. And you can see, again, you know, GENG are going to look for all of these opportunities. It's a deep TP flank here coming in from Dora, and Noguri does not have the tankiness really here to survive, but it's a lot committed to actually kill off this Renekton. And then the remaining Dom 1-3 just hang around in the jungle and set up a trap because there's no vision for GENG in this area.
And the key thing here is that Peanut steps forward, right? Showmaker, maybe Peanut thinks we can catch him out. They might think that Domwon have already moved towards the Baron. But that's not the case. There's a lack of vision, because Domwon, with the lead that they have, can completely choke out anything that GENG can do. And now, 40 seconds, that's going to be Soul Point.
It's going to be so hard for them. And I mean, we are closing in now. Canyon nearly has double the gold of Peanut. You've heard of the Flame Horizon.
Oh,
how about the Canyon Horizon? We'll see if he can get it, because he is nearly 5,000 gold ahead of his opponent.
No, it's absolutely obscene. Canyon is just, from the beginning of this game, honestly from the beginning of last game, has been playing extraordinarily well. Him and Showmaker really turning things on their heads. We illustrated this already at the beginning of the day. It's those two that are the game breakers here for Damwon Kia. Noguri, he can do all sorts of crazy stuff. Often it's fantastic. Sometimes it's a little bit quizzical. But this is the heart and soul of the team. Canyon, Showmaker, and they are right now performing so well.
And it has been these two players that have really brought Damwon to the highest heights, to that world championship title here. You know, they have been that big standout for the LCK over the last couple of years. GENG, it's looking like last chance saloon. We'll see if they can find anything here, but look at Noguri setting up on the flank. Look at Showmaker setting up with the poke as well.
Okay, not going to stay in there, Noguri, not quite brave enough, and I don't blame him. That was a lot of GENG members moving over. So now the fight for the soul is going to begin. Doran, decent Naba, but needs to keep hitting things.
The Crocodile.
Yeah, Noguri on
His
that
double
flank. Looking for the opportunity. Kellen also with a great line for the hostile takeover. Loyalty program is going to come through. The mist is going to come down, and now GENG, you can feel the fear. It is so dark on this map around this dragon pit. Teleport is going to come in. This one's strange as Canyon is going to come through. They want the fight. They don't really care about the dragon. Oh my God, the hostile takeover comes in. Top Dom has already done so much work, and they just obliterate them.
Wipes GENG off the map, and that should do it. We're going to a game number 5.
And that might be the one Hextech for Nexus trade. I don't think that's the one you want to take.
The solo Hextech Drake is going to be the end of GENG, but not from the series. We at least get some silver scrapes, and we'll see whether the LCK first seed can make it back. But, gentlemen, this series always delivers. These teams, they always deliver. And it was Chronicler that never doubted it. We're going to game 5.
I never doubted them, Atlas. They got down to always like easy peasy. Go for the 2 wins in a row. We are going to game number 5.
It is incredible. For the 6th straight time this year, these two teams will go the distance in a best-of series. Every single time, though, so far, it has been GENG, but it does feel like Damwon are a little bit of a different beast here. They have been getting better and better throughout this series. But in spring, 2-1, 2-1, 3-2.